Okay, let's see what's new in Sarkeesian land.
According to movies like Blade Runner, our gritty cyberpunk future is gonna be just as racist and sexist as the present day. But on the plus side, there's gonna be noodle shops. So many noodle shops.
Oh, fuck. Okay, first off, that intro of Anita in Mario form jump killing a dude saying, "Not all men." Yeah, great messaging there, Anita.
Fans of classic science fiction rejoice! The Hollywood nostalgia machine is about to deliver a sequel to Ridley Scott's incredibly influential cult film, Blade Runner.
Oh, god damn it, Anita, take your mittens off of sci-fi, will ya? You ruined gaming, you've ruined Twitter and social media, you've even corrupted Colbert and profaned the United Nations to bitch about internet trolls, and called a prominent critic of yours garbage human.
Garbage human?
When will this end?
35 years after Rick Deckard first escaped from a grim, dark Los Angeles with the world's fanciest fembot in tow.
Okay, she was not a fembot, number one. Number two, Deckard has been speculated by everyone to be a replicant himself, nullifying your entire video. The theatrical cut, which you so gleefully mention for your jab at racism, definitively proves that Deckard is a replicant, not a human. And especially not a cis white man.
Blade Runner 2049 is finally going to give us some answers to those burning questions that have plagued our collective psyche for years. Questions like, shouldn't there be more Latinx people in the Los Angeles of the future?
Latinx? Who asks these questions other than you? No, the questions that people ask about Blade Runner are varied. Is Deckard a replicant? What is the meaning of all those origami figurines? How long does Rachel survive? Why did Roy Batty save Deckard? No, you are the only one asking all of these stupid questions without understanding the plot of this movie at all.
In 2019, replicants perform dangerous, grueling manual labor in off-world colonies and, surprise, surprise, provide sex to humans.
She is not a human being. She is a replicant. I mean, this is consistent with the premise of the book and the movie. Replicants are created by humans to fulfill functions for human beings, which includes, yes, sex work, but as we all know, you feminists abhor it whenever a man wants to get off with a sex toy, let alone a sex robot, but have zero compunctions picking up a vibrator to service yourselves. So, par for the course then, hey, Anita?
So when they go rogue, it's kind of a big deal. And I know it may sound like something out of our sci-fi cinema nightmares, but soon, this kind of thing may happen in our own dystopian techno-future timeline.
And surprise, surprise, you're erasing the rogue replicants' struggle to break free from their programming and eventual short lifespan entirely by focusing on something that is barely mentioned in the book and is glanced over in the film. You don't even get to see Pris perform sex acts, and you barely get to see Zora Salome's erotic dance in one scene, even though she is a replicant who is a murder squad member. Imagine that, a female character with agency. Oh, also, she's not human.
According to the totally reputable New York Post, we're creeping up on the day when sex robots might kill their owners. Man, can't a guy just enjoy his deeply sad misogynistic desire for a woman that he can have sex with anytime he wants, who never ages, complains, or has a single thought of her own, in peace?
Oh, good God, again! Vibrators. You use them without any second thought, but heaven forfend a guy, maybe someone who can't get it off with a girl because she's been tuning into feminist frequency and has been swallowing your tripe like it's nectar, and she sees him as lesser than. Maybe someone who's shy, maybe someone who has sexual dysfunctions. No? What? All men are scum?
Anyway, enough about Reddit.
Oh, I see that joke aging very well with the folks at Reddit.
In Blade Runner, replicants have thoughts, feelings, and desires just like people do, but society doesn't want to acknowledge that they're basically human, because that would mean acknowledging that using them for slave labor is wrong.
But they are not human. They are artificial. That is the entire premise here. It's about exploring the narrative that is embedded in the short story's original title, for pity's sakes, Anita. Do androids dream of electric sheep? It's a question. It's not a statement of fact. They exhibit survival mechanisms, intelligence, and even towards the end, compassion and cognizance. But throughout the film and the book, they are considered artificial, not human.
Blade Runner uses the existence of replicants to explore questions of what it really means to be human, And in many ways, it's a rich, complex, and fascinating film.
But you won't focus on how it's a rich, complex, and fascinating film, will you? No, you'll focus on racial diversity and misogyny, won't you?
But the way it tackles those issues is by focusing on the humanity of white men, like so much media does.
Deckard is not portrayed as a black man in the novel. Hell, Philip K. Dick, the guy who wrote the damn thing, said, quote, "Harrison Ford is more like Rick Deckard than I could have even imagined. If Harrison Ford had not played that role, Deckard would never have become an actual person. Ford radiates this tremendous reality when you see him, and seeing him as a character I created is a stunning and almost supernatural experience to me." End quote. So to your argument that he's the protagonist just because he's a white male, I say shove it up your ass if you can fit anything in there.
As a result, it effectively leaves women and people of color on the margins of who is really deserving of being considered human.
No, it leaves the secondary characters as they should be. Secondary characters. Roy Batty is a replicant, but he's portrayed by a dude who's whiter than Priss's makeup. Rutger Hauer. You don't mention him, but he's also a white man.
Of the 4 rogue replicants Deckard is hunting, 2 are female. Priss, designed as a standard pleasure model, and Zora, who works as an exotic dancer.
No. Zora works as an exotic dancer, but as mentioned before, she was an assassin, you hack.
Because of these roles Priss and Zora find themselves in, you could argue that Blade Runner offers a valuable critique of how our culture oppresses women.
You're reaching. This is a sci-fi movie. It showcases what our technology could potentially achieve in the future. Don't want to work on an off-world radioactive mines? Send a replicant. All biological animals are gone? Create a replicant. If anything, it's a critique of disposability and commentary about the future of our environment. If you had read the book, you'd have known that. But you didn't. The things you don't know can fill the vast infinites of space, Anita. But your capacity for looking beyond your own perverse worldview, I can probably fit into a matchbox, without taking out the matches first.
Both Priss and Zora are prisoners of patriarchy.
Nope. I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm done.
Both Priss and Zora are prisoners of patriarchy who have been pigeonholed into roles to please men.
Priss is a pleasure droid, or a pleasure replicant. That means she's been programmed to perform a function. Is your computer suffering under patriarchy because you search porn on it? As for Zora, she's portrayed more as an artiste rather than a prostitute, but you're more than happy to throw her into the mix with Priss because it drives your narratives better. Remember, Priss, electro hooker. Zora, killer robot with boobs.
And they're punished with violence for trying to live their own lives.
No, they are punished with violence because they broke the fucking law. They murdered people. Fuck it. Listen and believe, right, Anita?
Both die at Deckard's hands after desperate fights to survive.
Zora damn near kills Deckard, and so does Priss. It's hardly desperate. They are severely overpowered and have lightning-fast reflexes and instincts because, again, they are not human.
Their deaths are painful to watch, and even though Deckard is the film's anti-hero,
Deckard is not the anti-hero, Deckard is the hero. He is the protagonist. The reason Zora's and Priss's deaths appear so tragic is because, again, we are questioning whether or not androids have the capacity for humanity, which is the journey that Deckard undergoes. My god, you are as thick and as obtuse as Hillary Clinton on election night.
We're supposed to be somewhat sympathetic to Priss and Zora's efforts to escape their destiny and design. But then, unfortunately, there's the replicant Rachel, Deckard's love interest.
You know, it's a shame you don't show this scene in context and instead cherry pick it to bits.
You kiss me.
That's our moody hero, preventing a woman from leaving his apartment and forcing her to accept his physical advances.
The original scene is nearly 5 minutes long and includes Rachel looking at photographs at Deckard's apartment. Deckard lying down shirtless, looking at Rachel. Rachel playing the piano, Rachel letting her hair down. Deckard and Rachel talking about music while Rachel plays the piano, having a conversation, talking to each other, and then, after he tries to kiss her, Rachel gets up to leave. Deckard takes her by force. But you won't show all of this, nor will you show the eventual reaction by Rachel where she relents.
I want you. Okay. I want you. Put your hands on me.
Your analysis of this one scene is so tainted, so poisoned, and so biased, I can only conclude that when a male sex robot will come to the market, you'll buy one just so you can put it in a cabinet and never use it. You propose zero context, and you provide no value to the analysis of Blade Runner. Bigger and better minds than you have written tomes about this book and movie, going into philosophy and existentialism. You? Yeah, Deckard is raping her. You're pathetic. Oh, also, she is not human.
Yet, in the end, despite his reprehensible behavior, Deckard gets the girl, and the two of them run off together, totally undermining any concerns about patriarchy that Pris and Zora may have raised.
Oh, shove it up your ass, Anita. If you took any time whatsoever to watch the movie, read the book, look at the extended cut, listen to the director's commentary, you'd know it's not as simple as him just getting the girl. There are far too many unanswered questions at the end of this movie, which renders it anything but a boy gets a girl right off into the sunset trope you're trying to push here.
Ultimately, the story isn't really about the women. They may be on the sidelines of Blade Runner's future society, but they're also on the sidelines of the script. It's Rick Deckard and Roy Batty, the leader of the Rogue Replicants, who the film focuses on in its exploration of humanity.
Because they are the protagonist and the villain!
The film takes place in Los Angeles, one of the most diverse cities in the world, and despite being an overwhelmingly white film, Blade Runner knows it's a diverse city. The streets are full of Japanese noodle shops. Advertising targets people of different cultural backgrounds. And hey, they even gave Edward James Olmos and James Hong really small parts.
Hey, here's a bright idea. Let's take a movie about a city cop who hunts down a band of rogue replicants who will forever change his life and outlook on replicants, pose philosophical questions, and generally be one of the classics of not just sci-fi but of cinema in general, and give the lead role to a side character instead.
Yet race doesn't enter at all into the film's concerns about oppression.
It's not oppression, you nitwit. It's called good writing. Matter of fact, let's ask Philip K. Dick what he thinks. Oh no, you can't. He's dead. Good thing too. All white men should die, and you should only cast minorities and women in lead roles, you cis-hetero white misogynist asshole!
And despite being such a diverse city, all of that diversity is nothing but background texture. But it's not as if the film is unaware of racism. The original theatrical release actually had a voiceover from Deckard that equates the persecution of replicants with racial persecution.
Yes, it's called commentary. Obviously, you haven't heard of it, nor have you heard of subtext.
Have things improved on the race front in Los Angeles in the time between 2019 and 2049? Or will the sequel still serve up a vision of the future that seems to have hatched from the minds of white men who think neon signs with Japanese characters on them are cool and futuristic, but don't want to actually have significant Japanese characters in their movie?
You know what? Fuck it. This movie came out in 1982. Japan had just entered the US market in force, drove cheap products everywhere, flooded the marketplace. Everything was Japanese. This was a sign of the times, but no. Let's give James Hong the lead role. I'm sure that would have made the movie so much better.
The cast has some actors of color in it, and who knows, maybe Edward James Olmos has a slightly bigger part this time. But it's also possible that the film will focus almost entirely on Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, and Jared Leto.
Because they are the protagonists! What?
We hope that if this new Blade Runner explores issues of humanity and oppression like the first one did, it doesn't do so almost entirely through the experiences of its white male characters. Science fiction gives us the chance to imagine brave new worlds, so why are we limiting ourselves to the same old stories?
How is Blade Runner the same old story, you unbelievable moron? I'm sorry, folks. I really am. I can't subject you to this trite, but I also can't sit idly by while Sarkeesian twerp here puts on her galoshes and stomps all over one of cinema's classic sci-fi gems. She literally just dropped trow, squatted, and took a steaming pile of shit on this movie. I'm the finer print. Peace.